Thank you so much, Paul Joseph Watson and Mark Levin. We really appreciate it. Next week in third chair, we're going to have Razor Fist in there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have Brodigan back. We're going to have the Hodge twins back. We're going to have Nick DiPaolo hopefully really soon coming out there. Boss Rutan in November. So really excited. You know, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about this, and that's because most news, they take off all of August. The deplatforming, whether it's the progressives sort of setting the stage for the DNC in November, that's kind of the conspiracy, or whether it's a violation of free speech, whether these companies constitute a monopoly, whether they need to be regulated as public utilities, and everyone kind of has a different opinion. And I know a lot of you feel like, or a lot of you have expressed that you don't think you have definitive answers. That's because in this case there aren't a lot of definitive answers, but let me give you something definitive, okay? This, right now, what's happening, this is a hill I'm willing to die on, that we here at Loud Oaks Crowd are willing to die on. That's as definitive as I can give you as it relates to us. What do I mean by that? Well, we created Mug Club specifically for this reason, so that everyone can actually continue to make a living and continue to create content that you know and love, hopefully, sometimes moderately like. Why? Because we've suffered from this from a long time. You know, demonetization. Surprisingly, not as bad as some, actually, the demonetization, but worse on the restricted mode. I think all our videos except for 12 are in restricted mode. And obviously more so strikes and false copyright. So much so that that's actually why we've had to put Half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond on retainer. So we're hiring new people. You can go check things out on the website for people who are looking to apply. There's been a process. There's been a golden ticket for those who are Mug Club members. You already know the rules, the stipulations for people watching. You're just going to have to join Mug Club to figure it out. But we're moving into yet an even larger space, bringing in people like we talked about, like Owen Benjamin, Hodge twins, Razor Fist next week, Nick DiPaolo. And these people are going to be here for days in studio for you. Why is including more people becoming such a priority for this show? Because we want people with the balls out there to take a stand and know that we have their back. And this is something that occurred to me not that really this week. Do you know how many conservative shows, Quarter Black Garrett, Owen Benjamin had done before this show?
No.
None. You know how many the Hodge twins had done before they were on this show?
None.
None. Zero. Razor Fist? None. Nick DiPaolo? Zero. Andrew Bogut? Zero. Daniel Cormier? Zero. George St. Pierre? Zero. Ralph Macchio? Zero. These are people who have never, ever in their lives done a conservative show, done any kind of, they don't do political talk radio, but they came on this show. They had the balls to do it. Now, in some cases, like Owen Benjamin, like Nick DiPaolo, then they end up being out of the closet as a conservative forevermore. And you know what? That's a pretty tough stance to take right now. And so we want them to know that we have their back. We want to include as many people, kind of rotate them throughout the studio. You'll let us know who you like there. But it's important to me when you realize that responsibility. And the only way to do it, the only way to bring them out, obviously flying them out, is Mug Club. That's the only way we know how. The full show is up there every single day. Should it be taken down here? And we've had a lot of people say this, like we need it, and we've both talked about this, uploading to other platforms. And you know, for a long time we thought about Vimeo. People saying, well, why don't you upload all your videos to Vimeo? Well, we just saw Vimeo removed Alex Jones too.
Yep.
Vimeo. Patreon has moved thousands of people. They've completely removed them, often for political reasons. The point is that if you don't control it entirely, you are always at the mercy of the Silicon Valley mob. They take a cut, and they get to control what it is you do and where you get to play. And they think it's the only way. But because we don't use Mug Club as a bait and switch, we actually use it and the support that we get from you to provide more content on YouTube than ever. Why? Because we actually think it's a big part of our mission. We see millions of people, and not just the people we've just talked about who are higher profile, but millions of other people who've changed their minds, who've opened up their minds as a result of this show. And not just this show. We're not the only ones. There are a lot of other people out there. There's Ben Shapiro. There are people like Dave Rubin. There's Jordan Peterson, of course. But this is the way we're able to do it, with a late night comedy show. And if YouTube tries to deplatform us, or if they start doing it to everyone else, not including us, this is a hill I'm willing to die on. If conservatism dies on social media as a whole, it will be because we were here, having done everything we possibly could, and you'll find this entire crew dead on that hill. Now, here's one thing, too. Everyone has to pick hills that they're willing to die on. You've heard me talk about this, not just in this, but, of course, overall in general in life. You pick a point. Everyone draws a line in the sand at some point. You choose your hill. Is it your marriage? Are you willing to die on the hill that keeps it together? Regardless of how much you argue or how wrong you may think you are for each other, how wrong you may think she or he is in this argument, how unhappy it may feel, is that the hill you're willing to die on? Is it your dreams? Are you willing to die on the hill that makes them happen? Regardless of how many doors get slammed in your face, regardless of the professional, the personal humiliations I've experienced, almost all of them, including nearly soiling myself before the Just for Laughs festival, regardless of how many of the so-called friends you lose, is it your beliefs? Are you willing to die on the Hill to stand true to your convictions, regardless of how many work opportunities you lose, like Owen? How many teachers don't like you? I get your emails, believe me, after the YAF conference, I hear you. How many Fs you get? Are you willing to die on the hill of your convictions? In our case, when it comes to YouTube, by the way, it's not about entitlement. I want to make this really clear. It's about an agreement. They, YouTube, all of these social media giants, but particularly YouTube, have courted our business, Louder with Crowder's business, and repeatedly they've asked us to invest on this platform and to invest in you, the viewers here, and we have. And I know some of you can't afford Mug Club yet, so we do what we can. We upload as much free content as we can. But we're aware of the impact that we have, and I'm incredibly grateful. I don't get a big head about it. I wake up in cold sweats because of the impact that you have given us here so generously. And to keep that impact going, that they hate, I'm willing to die on this hill. I'm willing to pay whatever it takes to fight the hard strikes, and we have. Many, many, many tens of thousands of dollars. I'm willing to put whatever lawyers we have to on retainer. I'm willing to fight it out in the public. I'm willing to fight it out on social media, all of these platforms. I am willing to fight it out in the courts behind closed doors. And I know the rest of this team, we're willing to make the hard decisions needed in picking people next to us all as we prepare for this. We know, like you've heard me talk about this a long time, we know that this has been coming down the pike. The question was just of when. And so it's important that we have everyone, as you've seen in this studio, people who are also willing to die on the hill to make sure that you and the rest of you watching you are not alone. Whatever it takes. That's where we are with this right now. And whether you agree with Alex Jones or not, it's whatever it takes. That's where whatever it takes to fight this at every single point. And by the way, when I say whatever it takes, that doesn't mean there's a guaranteed victory. Hell, we could all get deplatformed maybe even tomorrow and we all lose. Maybe we will die on that hill. Maybe you will too. But you know what? I know that if we're not willing to, there's no chance at us climbing it anyway. If we're not willing to roll the dice. And you all have those moments where you have to pick them. And I guarantee you that I and everyone who works here will do whatever it takes to stay there and hold that hill first. You want to be there with me? You've all got to pick your hills. And here's the thing, isn't it glorious? When people talk about this, we talk about the hill to die on. And often you hear this as, well, is that the hill you want to die on at work? Right? You hear that, is that the hill you want to die on with an argument with your wife? Actually, it should be used not as a pejorative, it should be used in a positive light. Because isn't it glorious that in the end, instead of going out like some tired, feeble coward, you at least get to pick out how you get taken out. So I don't know what's going to happen with everyone else who's being deplatformed. But I do know that it's not going to happen to us without the ugliest tooth and nail dog fight that we can give them. And that happens with your support. So you have to decide. Are you willing to die on this hill? Are you willing to die on the First Amendment hill? Are you willing to die on the hill right now when they're trying to silence everyone who disagrees with them? You don't even have to agree with me. You certainly don't have to. I don't agree with Alex Jones on a whole lot. You don't have to agree with any of us. You just have to agree with the basic concept that there needs to be an open platform for people to express their point of view. Or if you enter into a business contract that you can't screw somebody simply because you disagree with them. Are you willing to die on that hill? Because I am. So good. Start by joining Mug Club or buying a Walther. That's your first step. And you can watch more videos. See you next week.